Hello there. Welcome to the Kirk Minahan Wrap-Up Show. This is February 26th, 2021. Today's show was how, because when asked to speak another language, Jared replied with how, thinking that was some form of second language. I am joined today as with my normal Friday guest, Blind Owl. Blind Owl, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm just swell. How about yourself?
I'm doing fantastic. And I'm also joined today by a man who has been brought up on the show many times, has caused much controversy on the show, but we finally get to put a face to the name in the video he has created. This is the man who, if you did not see that, I tweeted out from the show account. What'd you call yourself? The dozen auditor?
Yeah, basically auditing the dozen. You know, got to keep some moral sanctity to the dozen trivia.
Yes. So he created. He didn't create, but he looked into two different videos, two different people. They just so happen to be on the same team of Captain Cons and Casey Smith. And that is the matchup Kirk, Jared, and Steve are facing on Monday. And with it being brought up on the show today that Casey was screaming at Carabas not to talk about it. She's so angry about it. She has no ounce of fun in this entire thing. It just screams, I'm so guilty of it. So thank you so much for joining me. Should I just call you Kyle? Kyle?
Sure.
Uncool?
Yeah, Kyle. Kyle's fine. Yeah.
So you created, so you weren't told to start making these videos. Just how did it come about?
Yeah, no, I mean, I was at work. I'm a video editor by trade. So I was doing some editing and I had that on my second screen. And I was like, Khan's computer is for sure shaking, right? Like he's like, you know what I mean? Like if I'm typing, like my computer shakes all over the place. So I was like, huh. So I was watching him a little bit closer. I was zooming in and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my, this dude's cheating. It's not even, and it's funny because you can tell he's cheating because it's always when it's a steal opportunity. You know what I mean? When like everyone's watching Brandon and PFT to see if they get it right, he's over there Googling. So yeah.
Something I noticed from your videos that he likes to do is he likes to, as soon as the question is asked the other team, he types away and then he just puts his hands up.
Yeah.
Like, how could I do it? I've had my hands up the entire time. So I find that very interesting that Captain Cons, he'll just sometimes pull it out in the last second too on a steal. He'll be like, Todd Gurley, man.
Todd Gurley, man. Yeah, why not? Yeah.
So
that's
Yeah, so I found that very interesting. And there was another player that you somewhat looked into and maybe saw some tendencies there, and that would be Casey Smith.
Yeah, so the Cons video, I put that up at I think I was on Christmas break, whenever it was, the end of December. It really didn't catch on until later on in January. It started racking up views. I was like, what the fuck is going on? So I was like, all right, well, why not? I'll do another one. I know for sure Casey's cheating, so I'll just do one. Do one of her, and then that one caught fire too. I was like, all right, so I guess I'm just doing this now.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
What sane person, like Casey claims she was watching Monday Night Football on her phone, what sane person doesn't have a television and could put it on and turn it on mute?
It's insane. But and the funny thing is when you're watching, she's not watching anything. Like you can see as soon as the question is asked, her shoulders slump, and she's like that. You're not watching anything. What an insane answer that is.
Yes, and I think so. On today's show, they brought up the dozen match that is going to be next week, which is going. I don't know if you've seen Team Kirk on the dozen, but it's pretty. Kirk's the most dominant player in the league. It's incredible
for sure
when you look at it. But so they brought it up, and then Jared says, "I'm not allowed to talk about it." Which is, at first I was like, there's something going on, maybe contract wise, where I don't know, he's negotiating a dozen contract to get paid for it, and then he's just like, no, someone told me I'm not allowed to bring it up anymore because I bring it up too much. And then Kirk's like, holy shit, Casey Smith legitimately told you stop calling me a cheater, and you no longer she pretends she's the program director now for the Kirk Minahan show. And what Jared Carabas says, and I don't know what's crazier, the fact that A, Casey Smith had this reaction, or B, that Carabas was actually going to just not talk about it. I think it's insane to just sit there and be like, well, she doesn't want to talk about it. if you watch her previous videos,
Yeah.
there's definitely signs of cheating there. And then, when they, threw the phone away, she doesn't have the same steal rate. And so it's not a coincidence when you look at it. I will say that there is, that you take a look at someone like, Frank the Tank. So he was accused of cheating. I believe he spent an entire and his rate has not gone down. So you just take a look at things like that, and it's just it's just so obvious that Casey and Cons are cheating. I don't think they're going to cheat this upcoming match because all the eyes will be on them, not just yourself, but also all the Minifans will be kind of watching. But I just think it's such the amount of times she denies it and just the fierceness she denies it with is just obvious that in the past she has cheated. So Kirk and Jared should be able to bring it up.
Yeah, no, I mean if you weren't cheating, you'd kind of let yourself be in on the joke, I think, right? Yep. Like, and to actually get apparently pretty aggressive texting Jared being like, stop talking about it. It's like, I mean, come on. Yeah.
Yeah. And I know I saw some comments because I've watched all the dozen episodes. I take notes on certain teams and everything like that. And on the first episode where Kirk and Steve and Jared were on, Kirk and Steve were like kind of sitting on a couch away from the TV. You could see their entire bodies. You could see their hands. And I really think that should be kind of like the go-to move for most people and not just be up close like this because, you could be doing a million other things. You could have someone on the other side doing things. I mean, people want to win. Like Kirk is crazy about winning this. I know other people are crazy about winning too. But I think really the way to go is to somehow do it where you're at a distance. Your entire hands can be seen. It's kind of ridiculous that people, they're so up close and it's and that. So
Bluetooth microphones are a thing. They can sit far away. And...
So I mean, that's what I would say. Just sit far enough where we can see your hands, and then there'll never be a question of whether or not you're cheating. You know what I mean?
And because the whole thing is Casey's like, so I'll throw my phone across the room. Well, it's like, okay, well, you're on a computer. And like, you throw your phone across the room. Like, I have an iPad that I could easily have right now. Like, there's a million other different things. But if you sit far back enough, it's really the only way you can vindicate yourself when these accusations come out. And I just think it's embarrassing for, as Kirk calls them, Team Sus. Because they're it's Captain Cons, Casey Smith, and then Feidelberg doesn't cheat, and he's very, very open about the fact that he doesn't cheat. He seems to have the Jared Carabas mentality of it is what it is. I was kind of questioning Jared's commitment to the team today, where he's like, who really fucking cares if we win? And it's just like, Jared, you got to know who you're talking to. Kirk is, I don't know if you listen to the Kirk Minahan show, but Kirk has been crazed about the dozen ever since this began. He's like, we need to win this. When there is a tournament, we need to win this. They actually just put out a tweet where they ranked all the teams, and in it, in the video, they said Kirk is the most dominant single player, and he retweeted it just with that quote. So, no, it's big. So definitely check out if you want to just talk about your videos, your channel.
Yeah, sure. I mean, just go to YouTube, search Uncool Culture. I'm actually going to be putting together, because I follow some other trivia shows on YouTube, and a lot of those are the bigger ones anyway, have like fan leagues and stuff like that. So I'm actually putting together a Stooley's fan trivia contest where, awesome. Kind of fans of the dozen can come together and do it ourselves and help keep promoting the brand and shit like that. So yeah, check it out, Uncool Culture on YouTube. Yeah,
no, it was great. The two video I watched, you really break it down very good. And you can't watch those videos and not be like, okay, there's something going on here. Especially so I'm 99% sure Casey was cheating. I am 1,010% sure that Cons is cheating. Just the way he denies it.
There's no question in my mind.
There was a point in one of the matches in which he was up here, and then suddenly his screen just turns from darker, his face just brightens up a little bit.
Yeah.
As if he
opened up a web browser and just pulled it right up.
You see the layout of StreamYard right now. There's a lot of white on it. So he was probably looking up something, clicked on it and then went back to this, and it was brighter, and it showed on his face. So I'm definitely would be I'm interested into seeing how this goes. As someone who watches a lot of trivia and has seen multiple teams perform, what's your prediction for Tuesday's show?
Well, for sure, I think Minahan is going to win because because I think Jeff is probably going to make them sit back. I think he has to, and I just don't. I mean, they're not going to get steals that way. They're not going to be able to Google. You know what I mean? And Minahan, he seems to know he seems to be knowledgeable in every category. He would be once they get this tournament thing going. I think that Minahan and Krabus, he offers nothing, but he's on the team. Like they're gonna probably be the favorites to win. Probably go up again if they're on the different side of the brackets. Probably go up against Frank and the Frankettes, I think, or Team Yak. I mean, those three teams are really the three that know a lot of trivia.
I don't know if you saw, but yeah, Frank and the Frankettes narrowly beat out Team Kirk by a single point last time they faced. It was a very, very close game.
And Frank totally cheated on that Gossip Girl comment.
Yeah, there's some rumors about that. But I would also like to bring up that has not been brought up on the show that Captain Cons has actually been not suspended, but he has had a punishment before where for an entire match he had to, for I think it was 10 rounds, he had to stay muted. So, I mean, he's not like without punishment. I mean, I think Jeff takes this very seriously. And Captain Cons has faced punishment for this before. And actually in that, if you go back and watch that video, he actually cheats while he is muted because the show was Black Widow or something like that. And he's allowed to give thumbs up or thumbs down. And they kept saying, oh, the TV show's name is Widow. He actually picks up a remote control and points at it as in and it's a black remote control as if to say black. Like he can't help himself. Yeah. He can't help himself. I mean, it's just in your DNA. That's why, when you see like these celebrities who get caught, in sex scandals you're like, how it's just in their DNA. And I just think it's in Cons and Casey's DNA to cheat. So we'll see if they try to get away with it Monday night. I know if there's any suspicious things happening, Kirk is going to be on it like a hawk. Yeah. And so I don't know if you have anything else to say. I really appreciate you coming on. I don't know. Maybe after every single, Kirk Minahan trivia show, I'd love to have you on, just to kind of discuss the trivia thing because you seem to be in the know when it comes to the dozen and everything like that.
That would be awesome.
I'd love to stay in touch. So it's at Uncool Media.
Yeah, Uncool Culture on YouTube, just a channel. I just started it, but yeah, it's actually something that we glossed over, and Blind Owl brought it up was Frank. I can go back and audit some old Frank episodes before he was getting called out, and I mean he's that dude. I mean I know he's like the sweetheart of Barstool Sports, but it's that dude,
people you don't expect.
Yeah, he was straight up like looking stuff up for sure. But I mean White Sox Dave, he got punished in the past too. So I mean, there's I don't know. It'll be fun, but yeah, let me know. We'll I'll be more than willing to do this.
Awesome. So definitely follow him on Twitter at Kyle Uncool.
Yep.
And Uncool Media on YouTube. Thank you so much for joining me, and hope to talk to you soon, man.
Cool. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah.
I'll see you.
Bye.
Awesome. That was interesting. That was a different perspective. I kind of liked, bringing that on.
That was very interesting.
Talking about the dozen. He seemed to be a uncool guy or a cool guy, whatever you want to say. So let's get into the other stuff from today's show. The case. It's been announced.
Ooh, that's huge news. Huge news.
April 5th, Monday.
It's on my calendar already. I'm excited.
Yeah, checking down the days. Just about a little bit more than a month from now. But Kirk said it's not even finished yet. So there could be things that change.
I'm sure the first few episodes will be a lot of setup where at least the first episode is going to be here's the person we're dealing with, here's what's going on, and that's not going to change. It's the later episodes that you may run into some things that might change.
So there wasn't much more information given about the case on today's show, but Kirk did say that he already has an idea in mind for season 2, which I think is very interesting because I didn't know if they're going the season 2 route, if it would be a continuation of the same thing. You know how like there's Making a Murderer 2 where they
Sure.
go into other things, or if it would be a completely different case. It sounds to me like it would be a completely different case.
Yeah, I think that's, especially with one that doesn't really have a concrete ending, it's probably best to, move on to something else. And then if new developments come up with the season 1, it would be wise to, just add an addendum. And Latino Kirk came out with the southern states that are one-party consent states on Twitter. So shout out to LK
really
there.
Narrowing it down. I know there's I believe there's 8 two-party consent states in the entire United States, and Massachusetts
really narrowing down
happens to be one of them. But that's really exciting. I'm super excited for it. I love true crime. I think Kirk, obviously has spent a lot of time working on this. Steve as well. I'm super excited. We now have a definite date. I'm sure a trailer will be coming out in the next month. Normally that's what Barstool and podcasts do. They'll shoot out like a 2-minute trailer on the RSS feed to get people to subscribe. And I'm just I'm excited. I thought that was huge news when I looked at Twitter today.
It's massive.
And I saw that they tweeted out the case coming to you April 5th. And then I saw the retweet of "Let's go," and I was like,
that did make me laugh. I saw that as well.
I was like, people are going to think this is me being like, "Let's go," or something along those lines. But it's but no, it's very exciting. I think I like how Jared says he wants to get a listen to it, get a kind of fresh ears on it before it's sent out.
That's all, as somebody who I write my stupid little blogs, but I never edit them. It is always good to have somebody either listen or look at what you did. Like, it's just good to have a second opinion that's not really involved.
Yeah. So speaking of Jared, this kind of goes back to trivia. He said some things today which are kind of like you got to be fully in on this trivia thing. It sounded to me like he's like, who really cares that much about these certain things? He kind of has like the Feidelberg approach, which is kind of like, if I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. It's not really, my cup of tea.
But I think that's the approach. Kirk wants to win, but does he really care? Like, in the grand scheme, is he going to go in? Is he going to go into the office in New York and cheat and do that whole thing?
Oh, no, he won't cheat, but
these sensitive fuckers like, Frank the Tank and Casey and Cons, they have to cheat to win. I think Kirk, if he loses fair and square, he loses. I think that's what he'll say.
Yes, but I think he also wants to win more than anyone else.
Well, I would agree, but he does it in a good way. But if they lose, he'll move on with his life. Whereas Casey apparently is going to whine and complain about it, and probably went to higher up and told Jared not to stop talking about it.
Another little weird Jared quip from today is that we found out he was having some intestinal issues and his insurance was not covering it. He had to pay $1,000 copay. He currently has $300 prescriptions that are waiting at the pharmacy. I would just say, did he not say earlier in the show that he just spent $1,500 on a wrestling belt?
He did.
And he has $300 worth of prescriptions for something that sounds like it could be semi-serious.
But he also said he didn't. He also said the copay was, I forget what he said, $1,000 or whatever it is. He made it seem like he paid it. So as again somebody who's run into issues like that with just insurance doesn't cover certain things, and it's you don't expect it. And I would be wise enough to call HR and say, hey, why isn't this happening? Like, the second it happened, I would have called. But
yeah, I hope that gets resolved for them. It was intestinal issues can be a bitch. So I hope everything.
They're pretty shitty, if you ask me.
Hey,
there it is.
So that was that. There were some good calls today. I think it's always good. I liked how Ziggy called in and really didn't go at Steve. He had some questions about Kirk in regards to Ray Romano, because I will say, thinking back on it, it is a very strange take to say. I know what Kirk meant, but like to say, like, I liked him more in his movie career than his.
I know what Kirk means. Like you said, he's a good side character, just random, and he's like, I always liked the Everybody Loves Raymond, just because in college it was the only thing on when you got back from class at like 11:30 in the afternoon or in the morning. But it was, it just kind of got my attention. But some actors are better as side characters than they are as real characters.
Oh, I completely agree, because I think if Ray Romano was a main character in a movie, the entire time you're looking at him, you're going, "That's Ray Romano."
Yeah, exactly.
You don't see him as that character, but when you see him as a side character, you're like, "Oh, Ray Romano's doing something. Good for him."
I think that comes as a side effect of people who play almost themselves in sitcoms. Like, look at it with Jerry Seinfeld. If he's in something else, it's like, that's Jerry Seinfeld. That's
But it's cool when they play a side character of some sort. But it's very few actors can pull that off. Like, I'd say Adam Sandler did it pretty decently in Uncut Gems.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna pretend like I saw that movie.
You actually didn't see that movie?
I've not seen that movie yet.
Oh my god!
I've heard it's very, very
pretty good.
Red called in, which I know I'm no one who should be taking shots at people for audio quality on their phones, because mine was absolute dog shit today. I have no idea why. I was sitting in this exact same position. I was just on the phone, but it sounded very echoey. And
sounded like he was speaking in somewhere hiding in a girl's locker room somewhere.
Yes. Well, let's not go too far there. But yeah, so Red had some criticisms of Steve, and Steve just came at him. He was like, "You got titties." I just thought
I didn't notice that about Red, but
it wasn't necessarily like the best zinger in the whole world. I just love the fact that Steve just kept going back to it.
He wouldn't let it go. And I kind of respect that.
He's like, "Ooh, are they B cups? Or you got some nice? Ooh, I bet they're C cups."
The gynecomastia line was The Rock had that.
I had no idea what that meant. I was like,
"That's a swing. That's a big swing," because not a lot of people are gonna know what that is. So
no, I mean, I know I'm not the brightest of all bulbs, but I was like, my first thought was gynecology. Like, is he, trying to say like Red has a vagina because he's a giant cunt?
Which sure, I was with it there too, but
I really had I still really have no idea what Steve was talking about. But
it was swelling of breast tissue.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Just clarifying.
Yes. So the show called me, and I kind of like it how Kirk described it at first. Like, "Do you have anyone who can hype us up for the competition?" And Steve's like, "I have no idea." I can just picture Steve thinking in his head, like, have Justin come on to like cheerlead on the team. Let's go, team in ahead. Kirk, are you ready? Jared, are you ready? Steve, are you ready? And I thought I asked some, I obviously had some fuck ups there with the Carlos Correa
couple
and the Appel guy. That was kind of a fucked up one. But I will say the China one is completely correct. China suffered the second most casualties in World War II. I don't know what people are saying about on Twitter.
Does World War II include the Chinese Revolution?
Anything that it might.
So there's a lot right there. So.
Yeah, I mean,
not to get all historical, but
it took place in the entire world, man. It was fucking huge.
Well, wasn't much going on in Australia at the time,
but Australia actually unsung heroes of World War II. They actually helped out in the Pacific Front a lot. They also gave.
I said in Australia, not with Australia.
True. But yeah, no, I thought the questions I asked, they were kind of in the style of The Dozen. I think you will see some questions like that. I was surprised though. I really thought I was given Steve an underhanded pitch with that Reagan question though, and when Kirk got that was very funny to see Steve's reaction and Kirk's reaction to that.
The big one I thought Steve missed was the Operation Overlord. I got to give Ziggy credit there. He pointed it out quickly, and I'm just like, that was a layup. Like,
that's
almost everybody knows that. If U.S. history is your second best subject, that was a layup.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see how they do. I thought it was also interesting how Jared brought up the fact that he hasn't been asked any wrestling questions on The Dozen. Is there a little bias going on there? Is there, because I know they think Jared, like everyone thinks MLB when it comes to Jared, but he's actually very knowledgeable about when it comes to
wrestling. Yeah,
wrestling. He like he said today, it's probably his best category. It's probably
I think Jeff's trying to cater it towards Kirk, and he probably
which is probably the best thing to do.
Which is why you're not getting the wrestling questions for Jared.
But there will be two categories or a couple categories of Bruce Springsteen questions, which I didn't even want to try to come up with Bruce Springsteen questions because it would be I mean, it's just obvious Kirk would know them if I could come up with them.
How many shots of Patron can he drink and drive at the same time?
He wasn't drinking and driving. He took a shot in a public park, and he paid the $540 fine that was incurred upon him. But
sure.
yeah, I'm excited to see just Kirk just abolish cons like he did on the phone a couple months ago.
Yeah, that was an embarrassment by cons. Like, I was knowing some of those. I'm not even a huge Bruce fan, and I'm like, I knew some of these answers, and cons, well, you can't just ask me. And Kirk's like, if you know it, you know it.
Yeah, you know what Cons was doing? He was typing away. He's like, give me
exactly.
10 seconds.
Yeah.
So it was definitely interesting. I'm definitely excited to see. They're recording it Monday night. It comes out Tuesday, 10 a.m. on Twitter, and then they put it right up on YouTube right afterwards.
I'm saying a 10-point win for Kirk. So
I'd love to see it. Just Kirk just demolished. No mercy, no surrender.
Nope. Just, first Bruce thing, they double, and then it's just going to be all over.
Yeah, and I bet you Kirk can get Cons to double the Bruce too.
Yep.
So when he gets that wrong, Kirk can steal 2 points away there too.
Definitely.
So, they also touched a little bit on the Woody Allen documentary, everything that's going on with that.
I don't care if Woody Allen's guilty, not guilty of. Full disclosure, haven't watched any of it. He's just a creep. Like just creeps.
It's weird that he married his stepdaughter, but like Kirk said, I mean, that's not illegal. It doesn't mean he's innocent or he's guilty of that.
There are a lot of things that aren't illegal that are just fucking creepy.
Yes. They also Steve quickly touched upon the Lady Gaga story.
Oh, I had not heard that story at all. I don't know if I'm living under a rock.
I forget if it was Jared or Steve, but they asked, like, was the person going after, like, did they just want the dogs or did they want the ransom? It's like, I'm pretty sure they want the ransom. I'm pretty sure they didn't just attempt murder.
If you're a dog walker and someone comes up to you with a gun and just says, let the dogs go, okay, see ya.
Yeah.
I don't need to take 4 to the chest.
Jesus Christ.
And he survived, which is he's the toughest dog walker in the world.
Unreal. Like Jared said, he's got to wear a bulletproof vest when he goes and walks the dogs around.
Wealth dogs for fucking Matt Damon or something. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. So that was pretty. I do think another. There was a shithead caller who called in and was like, "What are the refunds for the Wilbur?"
I was gonna say that's the same asshole that does it every time.
Yeah.
Fucking call, get your refund. How much was it? I don't even remember how much it was. $45 or something. Yeah. Fucking get your refund back.
It's been available for refunds like for forever. And they make such a great point where it's like, so if a Bruce Springsteen concert gets rescheduled, do I call Bruce Springsteen up to get the refund? And like they said, they don't have any of the money. Barstool doesn't have any of the money. It's all the Wilbur right now. They're just holding on to it, waiting for it, which is what they should be doing. They shouldn't be just distributing, because God forbid they need to, fully cancel the Wilbur. The Wilbur goes out of business, and they just gave away all this money that Barstool wouldn't either have to give back, or KMS would have to give back. So that was just a stupid call. I do think it was funny at one point, like we touched on earlier, when Jared Carrabba said how
that was I laughed pretty goddamn hard when he did.
Yeah, that might have been, that was a very, very funny Carrabba's moment.
And he keeps saying, "Oh, it is." I don't think it is.
Yeah, it's funny. Kirk was like, "We got to get that on a T-shirt," and Steve's like,
"And can none of them say hola? Like, what the hell?"
Yeah, I don't know about that. So it's a cheap.
Steve's laugh was classic. That was
it was great.
Brings me back to the time when Blind Mike's dad called us the Mariah fan, or one of the Lamely there, and just Steve lost his mind.
Yeah, this was a good week. I truly, we got Mike. We got a different episode on Wednesday where we have the cons call in and air their grievances.
And Fat Curtis is back. That's encouraging. That makes me feel good inside. Who? Fat Curtis. Curtis
I saw that
back. That's
Jesus
encouraging.
Christ, that's a big boy. I mean, I don't want to talk, but Jesus, that's a big boy. So, but I don't know. As an intern, it kind of made me move a little bit, just a little bit, just the picture of him, to just know that he has the power at that place. It just kind of made me,
It's a little sketchy. I mean, he's careful. Interns are free bait nowadays.
It made it move a little bit, but yeah. So that pretty much. I don't know if there's anything else you would like to cover.
I mean, no, I think I'm pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd like to thank everyone for listening, watching. The Carabas baseball card giveaway is still going on. So if you just subscribe, rate it 5 stars, send a screenshot to me at Twitter or Trudell at barstoolsports.com, TRUDELL. You get entered for a chance. We already have like 20 entries. So yeah. So
1 in 2 chance of winning right now, folks.
That's right. Very, very, very exciting. Thank you to Blind Owl for joining me. Thank you to Uncool.
Kyle Uncool.
to at Kyle Uncool. Make sure to give him a follow. He seems like a really nice guy.
Sure.
But he would love the Miniverse, and I could see him, start listening to the Kirkman Hand Show more.
God knows what was going on in the background with him. I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's kids or something. But what am I gonna say? I'm just gonna be like, hey, cut the shit.
Cut the shit. Get your fucking kids in order.
I mean, he was doing us a favor. It was nice of him to
he's
hop on. I'd like to, maybe do some trivia wrap-up shows with him.
That'd be good
in the future whenever Kirk's on. So that about does it for today's show. Once again, thank you for watching. Thank Kirk Minahan.
Of course.
And I will talk to you guys on tomorrow, because I'm actually going to be doing a Ben Albright show where I kind of recap the week of Ben Albright's radio.
Ooh.
Because I have a bunch of clips I want to play.
That's riveting.
And everything like that. So
I've tried to call in